Hey guys, my name is Ron Heiler. You may remember me from such video playthroughs as Saints Row, Assassin's Creed Rogue, and then currently ongoing I have Grand Theft Auto 5 um, and Dungeons & Dragons Online. So we're going to start up a new series, and let me get this set up here. Okay, this one I have some reservations about doing, but what the heck. Well, we'll see what happens. We're going to do a game called Skyrim. All right. Now, this may be crazy, and you'll see why when we go through this. First of all, let me say my handwriting is not that great in the first place, and I am using a tablet to write on this. It's not one of these kind of tablets that you can see what you're writing on. I have to look at the screen to see what's writing. This requires a bit of hand-eye coordination that I don't have a lot of practice at, so we're going to take my already shaky handwriting and we're going to try to do this thing where I'm writing and looking at the screen at the same time. So forgive my handwriting. It's going to look like a dyslexic 5-year-old's handwriting, but just bear with me. I'll do the best I can, and we'll get through this. So I decided that before we actually fire up the game, I'd take a video to go through basically the plan. Doing a completionist guide to Skyrim is almost certifiably insane. There's such a huge amount to do in this game. And you really gotta, there is no actual completion score shown in the game. You're not going to see anywhere on a menu somewhere your completion percentage. So you really have to kind of define what does it mean to be 100% complete with Skyrim. I'm going to base the walkthrough on the strategy guide, which I own. This strategy guide, let me take a quick look here, is about 1,100 pages long. It seems to be fairly comprehensive. I don't know if it's missing anything in particular, but we'll use it as a basis for what we're doing. So what exactly are we going to be doing? Well, let's start with one, the quests. All right, so what does that mean? Well, okay, so there's a whole series of quests in this game. Let's see here. So we'll start with, obviously, the main quests. These are the critical path quests, basically the storyline of the game. These are divided into acts 1, 2, and 3. So we have all 3 acts of the main quest. It turns out that there are 20 quests in the main quest line. So that doesn't seem so bad, right? So beyond the main quests, we have the companion quests. Now, this doesn't mean companions as in the people that you wander around with. The companions are actually a guild. It turns out there are 6 of those quests. Okay. We're going to actually, let's see here, I'm going to say quests for the main game. Okay. Okay, so Then we have C, the College of Winterhold. These, as it turns out, there are 8 quests for this. I'm putting in parentheses here, there are 23 Radiant quests. Actually, for the companions, there are 13 Radiant quests. What's a Radiant quest? Radiant quests are kind of randomly generated quests. They do follow a bit of a pattern. We will do as many of them as we can, but they do respawn and they repeat, and they are somewhat random. So I'm not going to really count them in the main quests. The thing is, some of them are required to be done, even though they're kind of randomly generated for various reasons. So we'll do. I'll note the ones that we do as we're doing them. Then there are the Thieves Guild. Hopefully I spelled that right. Is it I before E, right? Except when it's not. Guild. D-I-O. There's no E at the end of that. Thieves Guild. Okay, it turns out that there are 12 Thieves Guild quests, with 17 of those being Radiant quests. Or 17 Radiant quests in addition to those 12. Okay. Then we'll go over the Dark Brotherhood. Quests. I should maybe not try not to write the word quest too many times because it's obvious what. There are 13 of these, 13 critical path quests. There are also 12 side quests. Okay, and in addition to that, there's 11 Radiant quests. So we will do the side quests. Those are just basically they're not main storyline quests, but they're related. They're not random, is what I'm trying to say, like the Radiant quests are. Okay. What else do you got? We got the Civil War quests. It turns out there are 12 of these. I'm going to put /12. There are 2 sides to the Civil War, and you can join either side. However, you cannot join both sides. So we could do either 12 Imperial quests or 12 Stormcloak quests. One or the other. You can't do both in the same playthrough. But it turns out these quests are basically the same for either side. It doesn't really matter. So, yeah, should be fine. Okay, now I'm going to misspell this word probably. We got the Daedric quests. It turns out there are 15 of those. 15. Okay, H. Then you have the miscellaneous faction quests. I'm not going to write the word quest. So the Companions, the Thieves Guild, and the Dark Brotherhood are your main factions. Basically the main guilds in the game. There's a few miscellaneous ones like the Greybeards. It turns out there's 10 of these. 10 that we will do. Okay, side quests. There, I'll write up quests for this one. Side quests. There are 25 side quests in the game. Okay. J. This is a tricky category. Okay. There's a category of quests called dungeon quests. I'm going to put /activities. There are 24 dungeon quests, and there are some 53 activities. These are basically quests that you get just by walking into a dungeon. They're not given to you by anyone. You just, as you walk in, you get a quest. Okay. And then finally we have miscellaneous quests, which don't really fall into any other category. There turns out to be 85 of these. And then the final one, which is, well, let's just write it down. Favors. There are 115 favors in the game. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'll just leave it at that. I was going to say something about it, but it's really, these are just minor little things that you can do for people. There may be an element of randomness about this. I'm not 100% positive about that, guys. We'll do as many as we can. Maybe even all of them. It just depends on how they come up. If you add that all up, there are 410 quests in the main game, plus an additional 64 Radiant quests. Okay? That's your final number. So that's all the quests in the main game. So let's talk about section 2. We'll do another one. Quests for Dawnguard. Okay, so what does this involve? Okay, so obviously you've got the, wow, that's a nice M there. Whew, okay, let's try that again. Main, I can spell. The main quests. Okay, Dawnguard is one of the DLCs, which I do have. I have all 3 main DLCs for this game. There's 3, there's 4, I forget. Anyway, 3, I think. It turns out there are 14 main quests in this for Dawnguard. B, there's a category called post main quests. Turns out there are 4 of these. C, I'm going to put faction quests. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky category. There are 9 of these if you join one faction. There are 10 of these if you join the other. Okay. For the purposes of counting this up, I'm going to assume 10. Although, for role-playing purposes, I'm probably going to do this one right here, this 9. We'll just see how it goes. I mean, it's hard to say, right? This is, again, like the Civil War. It's one or the other. You can't do both in one playthrough. Okay. Then we've got side quests. It turns out there are 4 side quests in the expansion. And finally, miscellaneous quests, of which there are 8. Okay, again, if you add that all up, that's all the categories for Dawnguard. There are additional 40 quests, assuming 10 for the purposes of counting these up. Okay, guys. So here we go, item 3. Let me pull the our page down a little bit here. Okay, gang. So we'll again talk about quests. This is for the Dragonborn exchange. DLC. So again, we have a few categories here. Main. There turns out to be 7 main quests for the Dragonborn. Side quests. Um, 27 side quests in Dragonborn. Okay. Miscellaneous quests. 16 of these, guys. Okay. So yeah, if you add that up, 50. Like, it doesn't seem like that many as you're writing it, right? But if they start to add up. So okay. Set 4. I'm going to call this regional interactions. Okay. And then we'll go A, B, and C. Main. I'm going to just go DG for Dawnguard and DB for Dragonborn. Okay. In the main game, there are 140 of these. In Dawnguard, there are 35. And in Dragonborn, there are 17. For a grand total of 192. Now, again, guys, for these things, there's a certain level of randomness to them. It may not be possible to get all of these. Okay. Just be aware that basically they're just things that happen as you're out in exploring the world. You could randomly run across some of this stuff. Yeah, you won't necessarily hit every single thing, and I don't know if they even all happen in a particular location. I think they, in fact, do not. It just is essentially completely random. So we may not be able to get all of these as a rule. We'll get as many as we can find. So if you add all those numbers up, as far as quests and regional interactions go, 692 things to do in Skyrim. Okay. You may begin to see why I'm calling this completely insane to try to finish this game at 100%. Okay. Let's move over a bit and go into the 5th category. Category 5. Collections. Okay, guys. I'm going to kind of break this into a matrix because for a lot of these collections, they're the same for each of the 3 main parts of the game. So we'll talk about the item. And then over here we'll go main game. Then here I'm going to go we'll say Dawnguard / Hearthfire. I'm gonna kind of break these into the same. Put these two in the same thing. Hearthfire is another expansion. It's the third DLC, and I didn't talk about it in quests because it doesn't have any quests of its own. It's really more of a it's more of a housing thing. This is a house deal. Okay. And so I'm going to lump them together because the strategy guide lumps them together. So, and then Dragonborn is the other one. Okay, guys. So I didn't set up my notes this way, so this may take me a minute. Okay, let's start with unique items. Okay. Unique items. In the main game, there are 112. There are 17 in Dawnguard Hearthfire, and there are 31 in Dragonborn. Okay, these are items that there's exactly one of in the game that they don't appear anyplace else. They're usually interesting items of some kind. Similarly, unique weapons. Okay. 80 in the main game. We will try to collect these, which is to say I will keep them and I won't sell them off to the unique weapons. 11 to the vendors. As we get housing and such, guys, I'll store these in the house, maybe in some area if we can. What's next? Shrines. This is really a collection so much as it is places to visit, really. There are 69 shrines in the main game. There are additionally 30 shrines in Dawnguard and another 5 in Dragonborn. Okay. Again, you don't collect shrines, but there are places that you can go visit. Okay, housing. Let's see. Do I want to do housing here? Sure, why not? Houses that you can purchase. There are 5 in the main game. There are no houses in Dawnguard, but in Dragonborn, there's a single house. Actually, guys, I'm going to erase this. That doesn't seem right. Something about that's wrong, because Hearthfire is all about having a house. So I'm going to put a question mark here for right now, because I'm going to look that up and check into it. Okay. Word walls. Okay, this is a category that you may be saying, well, what the heck is a word wall? Word walls will make more sense when we get into the game, but they're locations. So you don't collect them as such, but they give you. I'm going to put an L after this as well. They give you powers, basically. So we're going to collect all of them. There's 53 in total word walls. Treasure maps. Okay, in the main game, there are 11 treasure maps. None in Dragonguard. In Dragonborn, there's an additional treasure map. Okay. The Those are the categories that are common to all of the sections of the game. In addition to that, if we look at the main game, okay, we have more items. Dragon Priest masks. Um, 10 of these in the game. Okay. B. Larceny targets. Okay, this is larceny targets. As I remember, are related to the Thieves Guild. Okay, they're not really quests, but they're things that you can get. Skill books. There are 180 skill books in the game. There are 18 skills, which means there are exactly 10 books per skill. Okay. We will try to collect them all. D. Unusual gems. There are 24 unusual gems in the game. E. Standing stones. This is a location. There are some 13 of these in the game. There's a category called Captured Critters. Five of those to find. Dragon claws. There are 10 dragon claws in the game. We will attempt to collect those. And then finally, followers. 47 followers. Now this one, I'm going to put a question mark by, because I'm not sure if you can actually collect all the followers or where they go. We'll see. It's possible that some of these are mutually exclusive. So who knows? We'll find out. Okay, so let's see. No. Let's take that back out. Sorry. So as far as Hearthfire and Dawnguard goes, we've talked about everything that's in those. That's all in that first matrix. There's nothing else unique about those. DLCs as far as collectibles goes. Dragonborn. Okay. There's a couple of extra categories here. Dragon claws. So this is common with the main game. I could have put this up in the matrix. I just didn't see it. Like I said, I didn't set my notes up this way. So there's another category called Acolyte. Priest masks. This is similar to the Dragon Priest masks from the main game. There's another category called East Empire strong boxes. 33 of these. Sacred stones. Six sacred stones. And that's it. Okay, guys? All right. So again, if you add all that together and add them up, 774 collectibles in the game. So yeah, that's quite a list. Now, guys, I should point out, it may not be possible for us to collect all this stuff. For instance, Dragon Claws, due to role-playing reasons, you may not be able to actually collect these. You may have to actually give them back to the people who are looking for them. Things like that. We may not actually end up with all these in our houses or whatnot. As far as collectibles go, I want to talk about one more thing. Books. Okay, there are close to 500 books in the game. 500 unique different books. I'm not talking about like duplicates of the same book. There are 500 of them, unique books in the game, and some of them are quite long to read. Books appear more or less randomly. There's a kind of a complex formula that drives how books appear, but for the purpose of this discussion, it's more or less random. I will probably collect a library in one of my houses of basically one copy of each book. However, having said that, I'm not going to kill myself trying to get every single book in the game. This would be nearly impossible, okay? If not completely impossible. We'll get as many as we can, and we will put them someplace. Not quite sure where we'd have a place to put 500 books, but we'll figure it out. So yeah, I'll try to do that. This is approximately. It's an approximate symbol. Can you guys tell? Okay. Okay, guys. So having talked about the quests and then the collectibles in the game, there's one other thing I want to talk about. Category 6. Well, not one other thing, but one other thing with regards to 100% completion in this game. And that's going to be your character. Okay. There's really only two ways the character is defined in this game. One is by level. Here, let's make that A. And then B by your skills. There are 18 skills in this game. And these can range anywhere from, they start out at 15, or as low as 15. They can actually start out as high as 25. And they go to 100. And then they stop. Now it turns out that these two things are linked. You level up when you raise your enough skill points. It's directly linked. So in order to get to level 2, you have to raise, I think it's 5 or 10 skill points up. Okay. It used to be, back in the vanilla version of the game, that if you raised all 18 skills to level 100, you reached a total level max level of 80, I think it was 81, or it might have been 82, something like that. That is no longer the case. Once you hit 100 in a skill, you can then make it a legendary skill. This was introduced in one of the DLCs. This resets it back down to 15. Okay. From there, your legendary skill can be raised back up to about 100 again. Now, what does that do for you? This does nothing. Nothing. It does not improve the skill at all. A level 30 skill is exactly the same as a level 30 legendary skill. It has no difference. Okay. So why in the world would you want to do that? What this does is allows your levels to continue to rise, so you can increase your character level beyond the original maximum of 81. So now your character level can increase all the way up to infinity, theoretically. Because you can actually continue to do this. You can make this to 100, you can go back to legendary, it goes back down to 15, it go back up to 100, and so on and so forth. And the game will actually keep track of that for you. It'll tell you how many times you've legendary, you've reset a skill. So why do you care about your character level? Really, once you hit pretty much this level of the game, you've won. You're pretty much going to take apart anything that comes at you, more or less. So why do you want to continue? Well, because of the perks. I'm gonna have to double check this number. I think there are 215 perks in the game. I could be wrong about that. If I am, I'll let you guys know in the next video. You get one perk per level, which means in order to get all 215 perks, you would actually have to end up at level 216, because you don't get a perk at level 1. This is not going to happen. It's possible that people have done it. I don't know. I've never heard of it being done, but it's possible. I suppose if you play the game long enough, you can actually get all 215 perks in the game. Even though there's no hard limit anymore, the practical limit is somewhere around level 100, maybe as high as 150, maybe. So you're not going to get all the perks. We can plan on getting a fair number of them, but definitely not all of them. So in terms of our completion, this we don't really care about. So yeah, because there's no max level anymore. All skills to 100 at least once. Once they become legendary skills, we don't really care where they end up. Okay, so our goal here, as far as our completion percentage goes, is to get all skills to an initial level of 100, and then if I reset them back down to 15 again, that's fine. We don't need to necessarily end with every skill at 100, as long as they've gotten there at some point or another. And then we don't care about the perks. Okay, as far as our completion percentage goes, we're not going to get all of them anyway. Doing so would require an incredible amount of grinding, and I'm just not going to do it. Okay, I suppose if I was a true completionist, truly insane completionist, that I would consider this something that had to be done, but no, it's impossible. It's like the books thing. It would be nice to do, but it's just not going to happen. Okay, so that's the character section of our completionist guide. Okay, guys, there's one more thing I want to talk about. Okay, that's our list of things that we're going to do in this game, basically to try to complete it. But there's one other item. Oof, nice writing there, dude. Mods. We are playing the PC version of this game, which means we have access to mods. Skyrim was developed to be compatible with consoles, okay? And I love consoles, don't get me wrong. I have an Xbox. I will probably be buying a PlayStation 4 here fairly shortly. However, consoles are not as powerful as computers, okay? Despite what any fanboy tells you, they're $300 to $400 machines, and computers are several $1,000s, or they can be anyway. Just by that fact alone, you cannot have the hardware in a console that you have in a PC. And PCs are much more powerful. They can be much more powerful. Okay, mine happens to be. Skyrim was developed to be playable on consoles, so therefore the PC version was limited by that factor. Mods are going to basically beautify our game, essentially, for lack of a better term. We will be able to change it to be a little bit better than what you could get on a console. Okay. The mods I'm going to use are going to fall into. See, let's write that down. Used mods. Okay. They're going to fall into 3 categories: bug fixes, in a game the size of Skyrim, there are thousands of bugs. Okay, and this is not really the default of the developers. The game is huge. Okay, we do have official patches. We also have unofficial patches. Okay, this is basically going to ensure that the game runs as smoothly as possible, that we don't run into anything that is a bug as much as is humanly possible. Okay, even with these patches, there's still going to be some bugs in the game. It's just impossible to get them all, but hopefully the major ones are going to be gone. Okay, the second category of mods we're going to be using are graphical fidelity, for lack of a better word. Things that will improve the look of the game. These are texture mods. They're mesh mods. Things that make the game look better. Okay. Our game is pretty heavily weighted towards these kind of mods. It looks quite a bit better than the regular vanilla version of Skyrim, and I'll show them to you in a minute. The third category of mod we are going to use is what I call quality of life mods. Okay, this basically consists of, I think, only 2 mods. Sky UI, which is a menu mod, which basically makes the menus much nicer, especially for a keyboard and mouse as opposed to a controller. We're going to be using keyboard and mouse in this game. The The second one is better maps. The default map in Skyrim is pretty bad. Better maps actually gives you a nicer looking world map. Okay. So those are the mods or the three categories of mods we're going to be using. The other thing I want to talk about, mods we will not be using. Not. There are two categories of these. One, any mod that affects gameplay. Gameplay changing mods. And what do I mean by that? What does this mean? This would be anything that adds quests to the game, changes quests, gives you items that you wouldn't normally have. Like, for instance, better horses is one of those, or I think it's called convenient horse. Gives you a horse, which is okay. That's fine, except that's not the way the developers meant the game to be played. Okay, yeah, you can get horses here, but you should have to buy them, not be given them. Mods that add weapons. That's a bit of a gray line, a gray area, because, for instance, we have a mod up here for cloaks. Now that adds something to the game. Well, yeah, but cloaks don't do anything. They're really just a visual thing, whereas weapons actually, would have an effect on the game. If there's a unique weapon that this mod adds, that's going to change how the game plays. So we're not going to be changing how the game is played. We're going to play it the way the developers meant for it to be played. Okay. I have nothing against these kind of mods. They can be fun, but I want to go through a vanilla playthrough of this game. The second one we are not going to be using is adult mods or anything involving nudity. Okay. I am not a prude. I do not care about nudity in games. In fact, if it's appropriate to a game, I'm all for it. For example, Grand Theft Auto 5 has nudity, and it's appropriate in that game. There's a strip club, and the protagonists visit that strip club, and there should be nudity in a strip club. I firmly believe this. In this game, however, it's not really that appropriate, in my mind anyway. In order to... there are mods that allow you to strip people naked. Okay. In order to do that, you have to kill them first. Okay, so what you're basically looking at are naked corpses, and I find that somewhat disturbing. So yeah. Also, YouTube could conceivably have a problem with nudity. Even though it's pixelated, it's not real. I do not want to get flagged as an adult channel, so we are not going to be putting any adult mods in our game. Okay. So those are the two we will not be using. All right. I think that's basically all I wanted to go over as far as the plan goes. So let me reset this for a second. Let's get my mouse back out. So speaking of mods, let's take a look at the mods we're going to be using specifically. I have about 40, if you don't count Skyrim and update, probably 42 mods, which is fairly light actually for a PC modded game. There's people who have hundreds of mods going. So let's talk about this. So we've got no spinning death animation. That just means if your character dies, in the vanilla games, there's this spinning kind of weird thing that goes on. This just takes that out and replaces it with a regular ragdoll animation. I've got Sounds of Skyrim, which is an overhaul of the sound and music in the game. This is all basically just overhauls the sound in the game. So we got Cloaks of Skyrim for the main game and for Dawnguard. We've got Apache Sky Hair, which basically adds a lot of hairstyles to the game. I don't think it changes the NPCs. Really, this whole thing is just meant to change the options you have when creating your character, which is almost a little bit pointless for a couple of reasons. Is one, you hardly ever see your character because you're in first-person mode. Or at least we will be playing in first-person mode. You can play in third-person mode in this game, but I find it easier to play first-person. And also, as soon as you put on a helmet, your hair disappears. But nevertheless, I put it in because I find their hairs to be quite nice, actually. Okay, we have a lighting overhaul for the game. For Dragonborn, and Dawnguard, and for the main game, there's an enhanced lighting. Player head tracking is a mod that has the player character look at the people that he's talking to. Again, not really that useful in first-person mode, but if you're ever in third-person mode, that's useful to have on. SMIM meshes is for the lights. Don't worry about that for now. It's basically for another mod to make a couple things compatible. Wet and cold will have the NPCs changing into warmer clothes if it's cold and wet. Kind of a nice immersion mod. Radiant and unique potions and poisons. So this does not add any new things to the game. What it's doing is actually reskinning the potions and poisons in the game so that they look a little better than the default categories. This also includes this. It's not going to let me open that up. This includes his skins for alcohol bottles, wine, and such. Makes them a little bit nicer. The Ruffled Feather is actually a conglomeration of mods, some of which I have installed and some of which I don't. The main reason I installed it was for the water. Okay, this is a nice water mod. Makes the rivers and such in Skyrim much nicer than the default versions. The fences, I think I have this put in. Nicer fences. This I don't think I have on. Better dynamic snow, I think I do have on. Makes the snow that falls and builds up on the ground look nicer. I don't think I have plants on. I might have furry pelts on, I'm not sure. Something about silver bars. I mean, moss rocks I think I've got on. Probably a lot of this stuff I don't have on. But yeah, it's just they're just graphics mods basically. Okay. The Brawls bug patch. There's a bug in the game that could cause, if you have a tavern brawl, it could cause a crash to the desktop, and this is a patch for that. Okay, better beast races. There's 2 beast races in the game, the cats and the lizards, and don't ask me what their names are. It's like it's the Argonians and something else. This improves their meshes a little bit. Book covers. This is a nice, gives the books in the game a nice cover for each book. The default book covers are basically all the same book covers, so you can't really tell what books you're looking at just by looking. So This gives each book its own unique cover. It's very nice. No more blocky faces, improves the faces of the games. We've got a Skyrim Flora overhaul, which basically redoes the trees, plants, bushes in the games and makes them much nicer. We got the high resolution textures going. We have some couple of fire effects. One is for candles and one is for other fires. And then a character enhancer, which is, again, improves the character models. Okay. This pre-cache killer is just a mod that is installed to make the hair mods work. The default version of Skyrim will try to load all the hairs at once and then show them to you when you're building your character. If you do that, that works in the vanilla game, but if you have the hair mod installed, which has, I don't know, a couple hundred hairstyles, you actually will crash the game. So this turns off that pre-cache. We got the unofficial patches, which again clears up a lot of, they say, thousands of bugs in the game. Better females. We've got better females in the game. Again, as a mesh mod, makes the females look a little nicer than the original meshes. Basically fixes some seams, neck seams and whatnot. Okay, SKSE scripts, you don't really have to worry about this. This just makes a lot of these other mods work. This is our new world map. And Sky UI is our menu. I locked it up. Sorry, we'll keep going. Hopefully it'll fix it. There it goes. Sky UI is our menu mod, which makes the menus nicer. Okay, and then some visual stuff. Better embers, enhanced blood and footprints. These are all basically what they say they are. Enhanced terrain, which makes the ground a little sharper, a little nicer looking. Project ENB. This is my ENB. An ENB, guys, if you don't know what that is it adjusts the shaders in the game. It's basically a lighting thing. These make the lights a little better. Okay, that's the best way I can describe it. We do have a lighting overhaul already, but this actually adjusts the shaders. It's a technical thing, but important. And then the static mesh improvement mod. There's some static meshes in the game that apparently Bethesda didn't do such a great job on. Static meshes are maybe not so interesting to work on, so they went through them fast. And this improves them in a lot of ways. Okay, so that's it. Okay, guys, I've gone through about everything I wanted to go through. And now, as far as mods go, if you have another mod that you want to suggest to me, I'm definitely open to adding anything else, as long as it does not break these rules. This mods we will not be using rule. If it's in one of these categories, or a category that doesn't break these rules, then I'm certainly open to looking at them. I have gone through with various tools and cleaned up the mods, including the official patches and official DLCs. That's a technical thing, but it just basically ensures that nothing's going to crash the game. I have complete 100% clean mods, and I've played through them for a few hours and had no problems, so everything seems to be working together. My load order seems to be good. This being my load order here, if you guys want to take a look. So yeah, I feel like this is in good shape. It's 100% clean, like I said, for those of you that knows what that means. If I can add an additional mod, I will, as long as it doesn't cause problems with the ones that I have. As you get more and more mods, of course, you have more and more opportunity for mods to conflict with each other. So yeah, it just depends. If you want to suggest a mod, please do so. I'm open to suggestions, and I will take a look at it. And if I like it, I will add it in. This is certainly not a static list. We can change it if we decide something needs changing in the game as we're going through the game. Okay, so I think that's everything, guys. We're about ready to start the game up. So I will see you in the first playthrough video. So that should be exciting. All right, so I'll see you guys then. Thanks a lot.